And I know we have lots of folks that probably are going to be on this webinar that are going to see Micah Gaudet in person next week at TLG, which is going to be in the Arizona, the Phoenix Valley, in particular at Scottsdale, Arizona. And I'm just so proud and thankful for the steering committee of which Micah has been a part for the work we've done. We've sold out that conference, and I think it's going to be a great time. So, Micah, I want to bring you in. Micah Gaudet is the deputy city manager in Maricopa, Arizona, and has really deepened our understanding of AI and its uses in local government through these webinars the last year and a half. And Micah, glad you're here today and looking forward to hearing you talk about automation. And just we were visiting before we got started. This is something that I think has great potential in lessening the workload and helping us get things done quickly. And so I'm really excited to hear you talk about it.
Thanks, Mike. And I'll echo the statements on TLG as well, too. I'm looking forward to that. Please, if you're going to be at TLG, hit me up, send me a LinkedIn message, text me if you have my phone, grab me in the hallways. Would love to chat with you and get to know you better, learn from how you're using these different AI tools as well, too, and just, collaborate and learn more from each other. So please come say hi to me if you're there. I'd love to to chat with y'all and get to know you better and learn from y'all too. So with that being said, again, we're going to talk about automation here. I'm going to share my screen right here. Here we go. So talking about automation, and I know this is can kind of be a scary word, especially when it comes to AI and things like that. So I wanted to do is I kind of want to break this down first into what automation is, and then give some examples of where we really see automation in our daily life already to hopefully alleviate some fears and provide a little bit of a sigh of relief to know that, okay, it's not as scary as we might think it is. So the first thing I want to do is kind of just break down the what automation means, the etymology. And my old pastor used to always say that the worst thing you can do is know a little bit of Greek. It's kind of like having a semester in psychology, where you probably do more damage than good anything else. But bear with me here for a second. So really automation is about self movement or self thinking or acting spontaneously and things like that. And we have different things we deal with all the time that it's automation, right? And so you think of a car's transmission system, right? If you're like me, I don't drive a manual car, and that's for the benefit of everyone else on the road. I drive an automatic transmission, right? It automatically does it for me. Even some of our stoplight systems, we have technology in design in a lot of our stoplight systems and traffic lights to be able to automate the traffic flow, where it's able to sense how much cars are queued up in the lanes, then give a green light and things like that. That's automated. Even some of our homes. I know in my home we have a thermostat that regulates the temperature and automatically kicks on when it's below the certain temperature, above a certain temperature. And then two, maybe a little more good example in terms of AI or things like that of automation is our out of office responders, right? And so when we go on an extended period of time out of the office, a lot of us, I know I do this myself, I'll set up an out of office reply, right? So that way, when someone emails me, they get a notification right away that I'm out of the office and here's who to speak to if you need help with something else, or here's my name coming back from the office so we can re-engage on a topic if we need to, if that individual needs to talk to me personally. So we use automation in our day-to-day life, in our homes, in our work with those emails. And there's other examples too. I'm sure you could think of as you think of different automations that are out there. So this is just what I want to do here is just kind of give everyone a kind of sigh of relief, right? It's not scary. It's not new. We really use it as part of our day-to-day life in the year 2025. So when we're talking about AI automation, we have to put that in the context of what automation is and how this applies and how it's not really a scary concept. It's not a new concept. And it's something that we've definitely used in local government. It's about taking that next step of that. So what I wanted to do here, bear with me, just to kind of get everyone take a collective sigh of relief that automation is not scary. It's not new. it'll be okay. And we can learn how to leverage automation with AI tools to really become more efficient, more proficient at our work, and to serve our residents in more meaningful ways, which is what we want to do. That's our goal, right? The goal all along is not to use AI to benefit us per se, but to use AI in ways that benefit our residents and our community. And just a sidebar from that, I was having a conversation with my team the other day about different projects we were doing, different things we were building up here in the city. And one of the things I share with them is, look, our goal is not necessarily to reduce staff time. Our goal is to provide for us the right response to each call for service that we have for the 911 calls for service that we have in the city of Maricopa, as I oversee the public safety departments for the city. That's our goal. If that means spending more time as staff to get that right response, I believe that you'll save time in the long run when you do the right response, but it's really driven by that idea of how can I serve our residents? How can I serve and meet the mission that the city council has given to us to serve our community and be good public stewards and good public servants? So what I want to do here is I'm going to walk you through a couple of things. I'm going to go in this direction for a reason. What I want to show you is 3 different things that we can do with automation today. Now, the first one is admittedly very much a wow factor. This may or may not apply to every one of you sitting here and watching this webinar. But I think it's important for you to know what's out there and what we can do with ChatGPT and the new features that are out there. It's a wow factor. It's a wow factor for a lot of different reasons, both its capabilities and its price. But I think it's important for you to know what's out there. The second thing I wanted to show you is something that's like, okay, that's not too hard, right? It's a little kind of the next step, not too hard. And then finally, I want to end in something super, super achievable. And that's something I put in the category of, oh, I can do that, right? And so I want to show you what the wow factor is. I want to show you something that's okay, a little more difficult, but you probably can manage that, not too hard, and then end with something like everyone on this call, everyone with any access to a web browser or a cell phone can do this today. And it's a really, really fascinating thing we can do with ChatGPT. Really helps out a lot. And I think you'll be, if you're not using this feature already, I think you're going to start using this probably by, 10:30 a.m. Arizona time, you'll probably start using this thing because it's that good. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is, I'm going to pause the screen real quick here. There we go. Let's go back here. All right. So it's going to run through this. If I can go back. Bear with me 1 second with my screen. Here we go. I'm going to go back one more slide back here. There we go. And the first video, it started the video right away. So I want to walk through it one more time. The first thing it's going to show you is a tool called Operator. Operator is a AI agent that ChatGPT developed. It's a computer use agent that you can give it instructions and it'll go basically open up a browser on its own and fulfill those instructions. So for the first one, this example I'm going to show you is this one right here. I had it go to my previous town I managed, town Miami, and I wanted it to tell me where are all of the inconsistencies in the city code, right? And you do the same thing, say, with your HR policies or documents like that. Sometimes if you have a library of HR policies, sometimes what might be worded in one policy might be a little bit different and cause some confusion and inconsistencies if it's worded differently or contradicts a different policy. And this just happens with living documents like policies or even living documents like city codes, where things get updated and sometimes you don't always go back and check what was previously there. And so you come up with inconsistencies. And so what I asked the operator to do is, okay, go through, look at the city code, tell me the inconsistencies, and put all those inconsistencies into a Word document for me. And that's what it's doing. Now, obviously, with anything like this, so if it's a city code or if it's a HR policies, this gives me a starting point to work from, right? We often talk about how AI is a 60 to 70% solution. It's not 100%. So with a document like this, my next step would be to go and take this to the attorney and the attorney's offices. If it's HR policies, take it to HR as well as legal review, just to make sure we're not missing anything. So there might be things that are nuanced in the code where it might seem like inconsistency, but it's not when you put things into context. Now, another thing too, just for your awareness, this video that you're seeing was sped up. So it took about 22 minutes and 38 seconds to actually do this. Obviously, it condenses the video down right away. So it takes a lot longer than the quick 2-minute videos. It is also expensive, right? So I told you the wow factor is both what it can do as well as the expense factor. This is on the 200 a month, what they call the pro plan. There's also features in there where you get additional things with deep research, which talked about in last month's AI webinar as well too. So it is a little pricier, but I do think this is a really, really great way to leverage some time where instead of, if I had a project where I'm looking at inconsistencies or looking at updating an HR policy, instead of spending the time looking over at having to look over myself, I can quickly have AI do that for me. And then I can work on other projects in the background and then look at the summary. Okay, what do they come up with? And so far, it's been relatively accurate in terms of what's able to produce. Another example too, I'll show you in this one, we're looking at basically I'm having it build a build grant from the United States Department of Transportation. And so what it's able to do is it's going through and looking at all the requirements for the build grant here. And then what it will do is it will go through the build grant, create the document for me, put all the things in there, the project narrative, things like that. I was also able to go through and update the spreadsheet. Now, this is a very crude example because I don't have actual costs or actual things like that. So for this one, it's a little different. Obviously, if I had better information, if I had better, say, additional, let's skip ahead here. Here we go. If I had additional dollars or things like that, it would be a little different. On that one, I could actually put some real dollars and real cents in. For that one, I just basically gave it dummy numbers and had to play around with it. But again, a wonderful example of kind of that wow factor of basically being able to use a computer use agent, having it develop a grant application from scratch for me, understand the requirements of that build grant, understanding what should go into there, given it the project we're trying to accomplish, and then, okay, here's the cost, estimated cost, putting that in spreadsheets and putting that all together can be a pretty helpful tool. Again, on the wow factor, it's pricier. It can do some really great things. Just for context, again, that build grant application that I did in that example video, it condensed it down to about a 5-minute video, but it took about an hour and a half of actual work. Once it's done, ChatGPT summarizes the whole thing. So any lag or things like that, it edits out automatically just to produce the saved video for your benefit if you want to go back and watch it again. But again, on that wow factor, but true automation. And I think we're going to see more of this as 2025 rolls around. You're going to see more of these agents, and you probably have heard of things like agentic AI. This can be a great way to get started with agentic AI, is these computer use agents that can do some really, really powerful things. Another example too, just for funds, I did is you can actually go ahead and you can order DoorDash on this computer use agent. And so about a month or two ago, I ordered some ice cream off of ChatGPT and had it delivered to my house, which was pretty fun to have ice cream delivered by ChatGPT. So some cool things you can do with both fun as well as professional work as well. Next thing I want to show you here is our the I can do this kind of thing, right? And this is something called task, right? So ChatGPT has a model here, the 4O model, where you can follow up and you can ask it to do scheduled task. And what this does is basically you can have it set up to deliver specific information or specific reminders at specified times. So an example of something like this would be, okay, if you have say you have a bi-monthly council meeting schedule, and on the say the Monday before council meeting, if your council meeting meets on Tuesday, say the Monday before or the Tuesday morning of you want it to go through and just give me a news summary of everything that's happening in your city. Just have it pull that. That way you're aware in case there's any type of things that might happen over the course of, that between when that task is scheduled and when your council's meeting, just to be up and abreast of everything that's going on in your city. That can be a good example of that. Or other tasks you might have of research, other reminders you might have. It could be a reminder of like, hey, send this email to this person. Or if you have so for instance, on the weekly news roundup. Maybe it's something you want to do if you're a city manager. You want to keep council informed what's going on in the news and what's going on in the city. So maybe you have it, run the news analysis, what's new in the city, and then have it generate a draft email summarizing those news stories that you can push that out to the council. That could be a helpful thing, right? Just those different automation we can have. I'll show you what this looks like here. I'm gonna stop my share 1 second while I pull up ChatGPT and show you what this actually looks like. Go back over here. And let me grab this screen right here. And here we have it. So to find this right here, what you're going to see here is you're just going to go ChatGPT and then go down to schedule with task, right? Right there. And we can say, I want a weekly news roundup for news in Mosinee, Wisconsin. Schedule this as a weekly task. Okay, so here we go. It gives us this brief roundup here, right? And then we can also do this too, is we can look at all the different tasks that we have. So we can look at the different tasks right here in this panel. So here's the weekly task. I can go in here and edit this as well. And I can say, and this, if I want to say, create a summary and draft an email to city council on the news roundup. I can schedule this daily. I can schedule it custom. I can do weekly, maybe Mondays at 6 a.m. I want to have this. Resume this task, save it, and there we go. And I also can look at this way too. If I go back to task, I can also just look at all my tasks right here. So I can edit this guy and view chat as well, and it pulls up this as well. So here again, we could just say create a summary and put that in an email to city council on the city administrator for Mosinee. So there we go. We can, again, get some of that, maybe some AI news here, or things like that. So you can you can play around with it and craft it to be exactly what you want it to be. So for this one, I wanted to say, I want this to be a summary on Mosinee news. Again, so here's some public safety events, municipal updates, drinking water advisory, governance. And obviously for things like this, you're going to want to make sure that you look over this and make sure this is accurate, that it's true, that's reflecting the your intentions of keeping council informed in this example. Obviously, some, no secret, some news agencies play kind of fast and loose with things. We all know that in city administration. And so knowing that, just making sure you put that in a context and are able to not just take AI's word for it, but do your due diligence as well too. So some of these things may or not be accurate. As ChatGPT says on the bottom of all their different things here, it says, ChatGPT may come up with inaccurate results. Please verify. So this is something that's, again, really nice to have, especially if there's things that you're dealing with. And it could be something you're dealing with for a certain period of time. So as you saw before, you could go in and pause or even cancel that task. So maybe you're working on a project that you want updates on specific for a, you know, a 2-month period, right? So maybe you're doing some work with your capital improvement budgets and you want to track the price of, you know, track the price of aggregate, cement aggregate, or something like that, where you want to track that price to kind of see where that goes for your capital improvement projects. But once that capital improvement project is finished, maybe then you want to, you know, stop that. You want to stop that task there. But again, something relatively easy to do. It may or may not apply to everyone, but I think knowing that this is here and it's pretty accessible in what we can do with ChatGPT and how we can leverage these different automations on here. I like this. I go back and forth when I use it, when I don't use it, just to be frank and honest with y'all. Some months I use this all the time, and sometimes, okay, I'm good. I don't need this anymore. And so I cancel my task and then go from, you know, and then restart them again. So it could be super helpful that way. What you'll see too, when you have your task, what you'll have here is on here, you'll see a blue dot, and then you'll come down and then you'll see in the, you know, your previous 7 days or things like that, there'll be a um, there'll be a chat here with a blue dot next to it, meaning it's unread. And that's where you'll know to go to find that task or to find that chat right there. So every morning at 6 a.m., I'll go in here and I can look at here at 6 a.m. or every week at 6 a.m. rather. On Monday, I'll go in here and there'll be a little, you know, additional conversation started, be a blue dot next to it, tell me that's unread, and then I will go and take a look at that. And so that's how you find that information as well too there. But again, super helpful. There's a lot of different applications for this with scheduled tasks. Anytime you need a specific reminder, anytime you need a information or things like that on a consistent basis, this is something that can be super, super helpful for. So I'm going to stop my screen again, go back to the presentation here. One thing too, just for your awareness and your benefit, the one thing I will say is that this particular scheduled task feature is on the $20 per month plan. It's a little more affordable, not the $200 a month plan that we saw with Operator. This is a little more on the affordable side. I think the $20 a month plan is something that most or a lot of folks have in local government. Something that's pretty popular here. So that's the scheduled task. And now we get to probably one of my favorite ChatGPT features, something I use quite often here, and something I think everybody can use. Everyone can benefit from this tool right here. And I'll show you different ways of applying this, how to do this. And that next we're talking about is called voice mode. Now, I don't know if you've heard of voice mode, if we're using this. If you are, that's great. I think this is one of my favorite features of ChatGPT right now is the voice mode. And I like this because it allows me to interact with ChatGPT, especially when I'm driving. I don't know if it's just you, but when I'm driving home from work or driving to work's not always the case because I'm only about 1 cup of coffee in. So I normally need at least 2 to really get my day started and really be able to have all the neurons firing in my brain. But on the way home, I often get these great ideas, right? I'm like, oh man, I should have thought of this when I was at work. I could approach this situation this way. And what voice mode allows me to do is, because in Arizona, you don't want to text and drive as most states are. What it allows me to do is allows me to have a conversation with ChatGPT where I can kind of brainstorm different ideas, come up with different topics or things like that, or learn different things as I'm driving, just like you would in a hands-free conversation with somebody. You do the same thing with voice mode. Now, the great thing about voice mode is there's a couple things here. So they have 2 different features. They have an advanced mode, which is a little more intuitive, a little better responses, and that's on the $20 per month plan. But they also have voice mode on the free plan as well. And the free plan is still really, really good. So I don't want to take anything away. If you're not ready as an organization, if you're not ready as an individual to go ahead and fork out that $20 a month for the advanced mode or for the other different advanced features of ChatGPT, if you're not there yet, start with the basic free mode. And it is, again, it's a phenomenal, phenomenal tool. So if you have a mobile phone, if you have a desktop, if you have any type of web connection, they have a web app as well too. ChatGPT does. You can get a desktop app and a web browser for ChatGPT. If you have any of those those things, which most of us I think do, especially if you're on this webinar, chances are you're probably on here through a mobile or a desktop interface of some sort. So if you have that, you have access to voice mode, and it's incredible, absolutely incredible. So I want to walk you through what this looks like. I'm just going to see how well we do here. I hope the audio shares, but give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up ChatGPT here, and let me go back to the ChatGPT. Okay, and I'm going to scroll this way. Okay. Hopefully, let's see here. What am I sharing here? Okay, good. All right, so let me go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to create a new chat here. Open this up here. There we go. And let's go ahead and start a new chat right here. So this little icon right here is what we use for voice mode. So we click this button right here, and then it will activate voice mode for us. You can see it's kind of loading up. It's thinking about it. It's getting there. And now we are in voice mode. So here we can do is we can actually start to have a conversation with the AI feature. So if I click right here, you see here, bear with me, my screens, I can mute it, I can go this way, and things like that. So this is how you open up voice mode right here. I'm gonna refresh my screen 1 second. I want to show you to open that up, and let's try a conversation here. Hey, ChatGPT, I want to know what the latest news for the TLG conference by SGR is and what to expect at the conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. So right now it's talking to me, and what I'll do once it's done, I can end it right here. And then from here we go. And I stopped it right here, right? It'll go on deeper. So what this does also too is also saves it in text format too, which is extremely helpful for folks like me that my forgetter often works better than my rememberer does. And so what this is able me to do is I can have a long conversation. I can have a deep conversation with ChatGPT. And then when I get to work the next day, I can pull up this conversation and see, okay, all right, what did it tell? What did it actually tell me? What are some of the insights? There's different nuggets in there I want to approach with. What I like using this for specifically, it's really helpful is, sometimes in our work, we deal with some pretty nuanced decisions that we have to make, right? Especially say something on a personnel related issue that we might be dealing with. What's super helpful at times is to have just a different unbiased voice in our head to be able to kind of bounce ideas off of. And so what I'll do here is I won't give any type of names or anything like that. I'll just explain, okay, here's the situation I'm dealing with. I need some advice of how to manage and how to, here's my goal I'm trying to accomplish, right? Maybe I had someone that's not performed up to standard and I want some help learning how to, what are some strategies I can use to really help this individual out? What are some things I can do as a leader to help develop my team and develop this individual to be, at a higher level and performing to their true capabilities? And it'll give me different ideas, different strategies. I can even say, okay, hey, I'm thinking about going through this process this way. What do you think? And it'll tell me, okay, here's some pros and cons about why that may or may not be a good idea. Here's some red flags to look at, or here's other people in your city you might want to talk to before approaching it that way, or here's different stakeholders you want to talk to. So any type of project like that, especially, nuanced and complicated projects, to be able to have different things you can kind of bounce ideas off of and get that instant feedback is super, super helpful, right? It's super, super helpful to be able to have that interaction right there. And you can do the same thing too with your, do the exact same thing with the ChatGPT cell phone app as well too, the mobile app. And so I don't know if those will show very well on the screen, but here's my ChatGPT app right here. And again, the same icon, that little audio icon, you just open that up and you could say, hey, ChatGPT, what are some strategies I can learn to develop teams in my city government work? I work in public safety.
Hey, developing teams in public safety is crucial. One and recognizing achievements boosts morale. What specific challenges are you facing?
So that's the mobile app right there. And again, you can have those different conversations, those different dialogues. It could be anything you're working on at all. It could be a super helpful project, or kind of a project not manager, but kind of a voice on a project you're working with. And having those conversations can be super helpful. I've used this for everything from work related things to personal related things to anything you can think of. If I'm driving home and I'm like, man, I had this great idea, but I don't know if it's a really good idea or if I'm out to lunch on something. And so being able to talk through ChatGPT and say, okay, give me some pros and cons for this type of thing. What are the benefits? What are some of the things that are the red flags that might come up with this? What are some things I should look out for? Super helpful. Again, this automation, basically you have a support individual right at your fingertips right here. Could be super great. As an example, a colleague of mine on LinkedIn just recently posted about being able to take she had an issue with, she clicked on an email, thought it was a work-related email, and turned out to be more of a phishing email. And so she's concerned about the security of her, her device and things like that. Okay, what are my risks here? And she was able to take a screenshot of, what her computer was showing and things like that, and able to show by ChatGPT what are my risks here. Obviously, a little different, and I would highly recommend that if you accidentally click on an email you should have clicked on, please consult your IT first. But it can be helpful, especially if you're on a personal computer or something like that, or if you're on your own thing. If you don't have IT support, that can be a super helpful tool. Or just be able to walk through different, like I said, different conversations, different things that might be you might be dealing with. Having another voice to kind of bounce ideas off of is extremely helpful. And a lot of times too, when I'm doing this, what happens is I'll have a conversation with the voice mode of ChatGPT. I'll have a certain direction I think I should go in, and I learn new information. I learn new strategies as a result of this. And I say, okay, all right, that's not going to work. I need to rethink my strategy to really get the results I want to get done. Or sometimes too, it comes up with other ideas. Like, oh, I didn't think of that way. Let me try this approach as well too. So automation in a very basic form, but truly accessible to all of us on this call. Anyone listening to my voice as well. Anyone can use the voice mode in ChatGPT. It's extremely powerful. I love it. It's obviously, it helps me not to crash my car when I'm driving. I'm not texting ChatGPT while I'm driving. I can use the interactive voice mode and get some real good features there. So as long as you have an internet connection and access to a phone or some kind of device with a microphone in it, you're off to the races, and it's super powerful, super great there. So kind of in summary here, let me go and I'll stop this screen share and go back over here to this one. Let's see here. Close this off here. Bear with me while I close these different features off right here. That way I can have a good thing here. Okay. Share my screen. And really what I want to talk about is with automation, kind of the basic point of automation, where we're at with AI agents and things like that, is just to take it one step at a time, right? So automation is this big, scary word. We've heard a lot before with, if you follow AI related news, I'm sure you've come across things like AI agents and vibe coding, all those different things that are out there too, which again, just know where you're at as an organization, know where you're at as an individual in terms of a comfort level with AI, what you want to accomplish here, and just take it one step at a time. You don't need to go directly to operator right away. If that's what you want to go to, great. That's awesome. Good for you and your team, right? But maybe for some of us, we're not quite to the $200 a month subscription plan. I'm not, from a price perspective. I don't like, I'm pretty frugal when I spend money on. So I'm not there right now. I've done it before. It's kind of a trial period, but that's about it. And it's fun to play around with, but I'm just not ready to fork out $200 a month on a ChatGPT subscription. So I'm sticking with the $20 a month. I'm sticking with the scheduled task. I'm sticking with the voice mode automation. And then if I need to, if there's certain things I need to work on a month-to-month project, maybe I'll, pay for that $200 a month thing for a specific thing I'm trying to accomplish. But as a general rule, I'm not quite there yet. So I think taking it slow, taking it one step at a time, knowing that automation is already kind of here is helpful too. And as you come across different agents as well, just look at the pros and cons of these different agents. Look at what makes sense. Is this really delivering the value you need to accomplish? And most importantly, like we talked about at the beginning, is it allowing us to serve our residents in meaningful ways? And we want to keep that as the forefront of our goal, really, is to serve our residents, not always to make our lives easier. It's to be true public servants and to do what we need to be able to serve our community in meaningful and helpful ways. So with that being said, Mike, I know I hit people up with a lot of probably new or new to us information here. I want to see if there's any questions in the chat, anything that you might have as well too, Mike.
Yeah, man, I think this was one of the most helpful ones ever, Mike, except for the part when you were asking about team building, and I didn't hear it say anything about just call SGR. So I need to have why didn't it just say just call SGR? But anyway, we'll have to find out about that.
Mike, I apologize. My speakers went on mute for that what you said just there. So if you asked a question, I did not get it. My speakers disconnected.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I got you now. Yeah.
Okay. So I was complaining that whenever you asked ChatGPT about team building for your public safety team, why did not it just say call SGR?
Funny, Mike, it's funny. It's exactly what it said. It said call Mike Maury. I was like, who's Mike Maury?
I'm guessing that's
who this was, but it was weird. It said call Mike Maury, call Ron Hollifield and see what they can do. Yeah, that's exactly what I came up with.
We're going to have some our developers work harder on that or something. But Jessica Moore had a great question. Is there a chat GPT tax module yet? And I don't know that there is, but I don't know that there isn't either. Do you know the answer to that question?
So I think the text module would basically be the web app, right? And so the web app would be a type of text module where you can
taxes.
Oh, taxes.
Taxes, yeah.
Taxes module.
Yeah. Do you know if they have a tax module?
I used ChatGPT for filing my taxes this year. I actually did. And I had a couple of things I had to figure out with ChatGPT, some nuances. And so I asked ChatGPT for some help on some things. And once it gave me some basic parameters and direction, then I engaged with my my TurboTax expert and had a person kind of review it, because I'm nervous to play the AI game with my taxes and things like that. So I did involve a real human being involved in that too, but it gave me some basic parameters of what to look for and deductions I could take and things like that, which was super helpful.
Very interesting. There you go, Jessica. And John also asked the question, and this question comes up periodically on these webinars in the various forms, but in your opinion, is the material that comes from ChatGPT, particularly the paid version, is it superior to all these other things? I mean, is there one of these that's kind of risen to the top for you?
So in terms of like the different AI models, like ChatGPT versus Claude versus Perplexity, ChatGPT, I think, is still very much one of the best ones out there. And it's one of the best for a number of different reasons, right? So anytime you're looking at this, sometimes it's not just about the accuracy of the information per se, it's also about user interface as well. And so I think ChatGPT is just a very, very, very well-built user interface, very easy to use, very intuitive interface there, which can be super helpful. It also has additional features, right? And so if I'm going from, say, I'm looking for information on a certain idea, so say budgets, for example, and then I want to graph that out, I can go directly from that into graphing that information out, which can be, again, super, super helpful. Claude is a very, very great model. Grok, which I showed last last time. Very powerful model. They're doing some really great work at Grok and refining their tools there. Super accurate as well too. But again, like any other AI tool, there's pros and cons. You have to make sure you're double checking your work. I like the ability to go from concept to start building things right away without having to, switch programs right away. And that interface with ChatGPT can be super, super, super helpful.
So very, very good. That's very helpful to hear. And then from your perspective, the $20 a month fee, is that worth it to pay for the average person that might be on this webinar?
I really think so. To me, that's $20 well spent. And I think of it this way, I'll spend $20 on much more dumber things in my month than I will on ChatGPT. So, that's a couple candy bars or a couple sodas at a gas station during the week. And if I spend it on ChatGPT instead of sodas, everyone benefits from that right there. So,
and it is less than using ChatGPT for DoorDash, I'm guessing. For
it
us.
is. Yes. Yeah. But I really think so. There's just so many features you can get with it, from the deep research to be able to build up visualizations to, over the weekend, I partook in the Ghibli phase and, took photos of my kid and my dog and put it into, animated Dragon Ball Z themed pictures for my kid. So fun things like that you can do too with a $20 a month plan. It's not, as the old proverb goes, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And so you have to have some fun with it as well too.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, Micah, thank you so much. And thank you everybody that's been a part of this. I want to mention that everyone in the month of March and April who register for a webinar, we will give to your organization our class on the art of delegation for $500 off. So pretty soon you can just use ChatGPT, as Micah was showing us today, for delegation. But right now, you're probably having to delegate some to employees, or you have people that in your organization that need to do that. And if you're interested in that, just reach out to me or Randa Driscoll. Be glad to help you. And next week, I'm very excited. I won't be at TLG, unfortunately, but we do have Wednesday webinar, and our friend Randy Mayu will be doing one of my favorite books ever, The Culture Code, and by Daniel Coyle, an amazing book. And so I hope that you can join us for that if you're not at TLG. Micah, say hi to all my friends there. Thank you for this great presentation. Thank you, Lisa Shook, for your work behind the scenes, and wish everybody a great day, and we'll see you down the road.